Hi everyone, I haven't done a live in ages. I'm at my desk and I'm working at the moment. So I'm going to talk to you at the same time. I'm going to answer any questions you have and I'm going to be working. So it's sort of almost a day in the life of. So welcome everyone. I'm told I can swipe to see live real-time performance as well as people come on board. Okay, good. So they're notifying everyone that I'm on live. So ask me any questions that you have, whether it's about the market, whether it's about life, whether it's about failure, success, getting jobs, internships, investments, pensions, SIPs, ISAs, anything at all. Like I said, whilst I'm speaking to you, I am at my desk. So I'm trying to sort out some work as well, but I thought I will try and multitask. Never a good idea for a man to do, apparently, I'm told. So, whilst I'm speaking to you, and like I said, any questions you get at any point, I will happily answer about investments, entrepreneurship, whatever else you like. Yo, bro, you pushing? That's what that all really want to know. Yeah, I've never been cool enough to be able to answer that properly, I don't think. I tell you what I'm doing at the moment. I'm looking at, I write a political column as well as a financial one. So I'm just thinking about what to write about politically. And it's a bit difficult. So because I've got writer's block, despite those books, most of which have been written by me over my shoulder, I'm thinking, what do I do? Now, I'm 16. Any early advice on what to do or what to learn first to do with investing? I used to have a very simple viewpoint when I wanted to learn more and more about investing, which is read everything. Absolutely read everything. The best advice I can give you on YouTube, any video by Warren Buffett. Well, actually, not just any one video, tons of them. I've never heard the man say anything which didn't make sense. You'll get the best wisdom there is, and watch them carefully, read his stuff. I'm pushing, mate. I don't know what the hell that means. I'm probably saying something I shouldn't. Thoughts on BlackRock? Yeah, I tell you what, I read the CEO's letter. I started reading the CEO's letter and then I got bored. You know, I mean, he's immensely successful, but the man bored the hell out of me, so I stopped reading it after a while. Can you still be successful in the industry without going to a top school like an Ivy League? You can. It really is going to come down to you. And I might argue, well, it's going to be harder. I don't know if it's going to be harder. You can. I've got lots of examples of it being done. Do you hold crypto? I hold Ripple and I hold Ethereum for the long term. It'll either be worth nothing or it'll be worth lots. I don't know. Okay, whoa. Got loads of, how long do you think USA high quality growth stocks will start turning the corner, 1 year or 2 years? So what I've done most recently is I look at high quality, by quality I mean earnings as well as revenue growth, cash flow and all the rest of it, stocks. And at the same time, what I've also started doing is looking at their valuation more. So I'm putting a bit more weight, or rather I'm filtering those growth companies with good valuations. And for valuation, I'm using just also the price earnings ratio as well as the price earnings growth ratio. And I want the PEG, P-E-G, and you can Google it, to be under 1. So I'm doing that as well at the same time. And the importance of that is that there's a lot of talk that the market's moving to more value-driven stocks. Okay, so that's the reason. When did you decide to change your accent? What do you mean, from Indian? You mean, when did I stop speaking like this? I never spoke like that because I was born in Yorkshire. Or do you mean, when did I stop speaking, "Bye, lad, what are you up to"? I never spoke like that either. So I don't know. Accents are interesting because it's funny how you sort of end up adopting the accent of the people that you're in. So I don't know. I don't know if you're trying to be offensive. If you were, went straight over my head, mate. Sorry about that. Thoughts of a software. Ooh, lots more questions. More likes can attract viewers. Keep it up. I'm not sure what that means. What would you do if you were 23 again? Oh, God. I just try and work smarter. I'm still having the same problems I had when I was 23, which is, no, it's not getting enough action. It's that I'm still trying to work out how to be productive and efficient, and the usual delegate more, have smart processes, systems. I think I just try and plan more and more. I don't know. I'm not any wiser than I was at 23. I want to move from restructuring, starting towards ACA, into either VC or other buy-side roles. Yeah, I mean, I've got no special advice to give other than there's a website called openvc. Okay, I'd apply to everybody. You just never know who's hiring with those. I'd do it if you enjoy it. It's openvc.org. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, crap. Anyway, there is a web. If you go to tech2great.com, it's on there. I've listed it. I'll just put it up. Sources of funding. For those entrepreneurs, I've put on tech2great, the number 2, great.com, every single source of funding and available for UK businesses. Openvc.app. It lists virtually all VC firms by thesis and what their addresses are, countries they're located in, and so on, and details. That'll give you a good insight into the venture capital industry, and it'll also give you addresses of people to apply to as well. What are your thoughts on the real estate bubble interest rates? I think interest rates I'm just following what everyone else says, it's likely to rise. Bubble, let me tell you, 20 years ago, I could get a property with 5% deposit. Actually, you could borrow the 5% simultaneously get a loan, and you could basically get a property with 0% down. You really could, like you hear about those adverts. Can you get one with 0% down? Yes, you could. So I'm not a real estate expert. I'm not aware of a real estate bubble. Can you give us your top 3 conviction stocks? Conviction. I've got to sort out my portfolio for the next 12 months because 12 months are up. I'm going to pull something up online. I've got to be careful which ones. This is not financial advice because I don't know who you guys are. The things that I like the most, I've got 2 times leverage on Costco and Microsoft. So I'm leveraged up on those 2. If you said to me, no, don't give me something I've heard of, my friend. Give me something I've not heard of. So let me come up with a name. I'm just looking on my database here. Things that rank well. I've got to be careful that I don't want to mention something which I've necessarily given exclusively elsewhere. It's a bit expensive. Okay, here's one for you, and I don't know who these guys are. I mean, as in, they're in the construction industry. They're listed on London Stock Exchange. They've got good figures. SureServe Group. I don't own them. They've got cash that they're generating at 37% on the capital that they spend. They're up 20% in the last 6 months. So there's one of them. I don't know why, but my wife just sent me a picture of the dishwasher. What the hell? Why would she do that? Why would she do that? See, I'm a normal person. Oh, God. Okay. I get this bit, we have a problem. I tell her throw money at problems, not me. What do you think of Deliveroo? Over halved since IPO. I've not looked into IPO. I mean, it's unfortunate. A lot of these IPOs have fallen. New dishwasher. Yeah, but mate, you worked it out before I did. Clearly, she wants to get a new dishwasher. Why she has to tell me, I do not know. What do you look for in a resume or CV? Consistency of being top tier, really. Just outstanding on something which really stands out. You should do Day in the Life of AP. Yeah, I know. Well, Day in the Life of AP is going to be getting on a WhatsApp message a picture of a dishwasher and we have a problem. Okay. I will. I'm just going to let her know what time I'm coming home. This is what happens when you're married, kids. You know. What are your thoughts on gap years? I didn't think they were that good, but I've changed my mind. You've mentioned Meta, Facebook. So I have 5 companies which I consider sort of quality companies. If the world ends, they've got so much money in the bank that there'll be a flight to quality to them. They will fall, but they'll rebound. Just look at what happened in the financial crisis. And those are Apple, Alphabet, Amazon, Facebook, and Microsoft. Are those, okay? Will having the ACA add weight to my application if I want to move after my grad scheme? Yeah, I think it would be better to have than not have. However, you've got to weigh up what your end goals, where do you want to be, how much will it cost, what time frame will it take as well. I go to a Russell Group uni and I take econ. However, I want to work in politics. Any advice? Speak to your local MP. Try and get an internship with them in Parliament. Write to other MPs. Try and be an intern with those. That's probably a good idea. Join Chatham House. Start reading up on the areas of politics that you want to be involved in. Internships is always a work experience is always a good idea within those political spheres. And also write to members of the House of Lords. People always forget them because that is politics as well. As you saw yesterday, they voted down the new protest law. And so that law's not going to be coming on the books anytime too soon. It will eventually. Do you own any Tesla? No, it's a bit volatile for me. I know it's done incredibly well, but I don't like volatility. I like a smoother ride. Not the car, but the share price. How do you find these relatively small cap companies? Relatively small cap? Who are you calling relatively small cap? Which one was relatively small? Actually, you're right. SureServe was. It's 156 million. So what I do is I download the data of 10,000 stocks, UK, US, European, and those global companies listed on the New York Stock Exchange. So it's not that I'm looking for small cap or NASDAQ or Swedish companies or whatever. It's just that I've downloaded all the data. That's why I've done it. Is day trading good? Day trading, as you will see if you look on any brokerage website, 60% of people lose money. And I'm sure of those who make money, very few get a return on investment, which is worth it. So unless you're a geek like me who loves it, it's got to be something you love for its own sake rather than, I might make lots of money. That's what I found about it. And it's a lot harder than investing. So if you invest for 12 months, you're likely to get a return in most years. Well, more years than not. If you day trade for 12 months, you're more likely to make a loss than not in most years. That's just statistics. But so why do people do it? Well, they do it because they want to make more return than they would in investing. So look, read into it if you wish. Use a demo account. Never use live cash. Trust me, you can blow 100 grand in a week day trading. So just be careful. 5 favorite long terms. I don't have long terms. I pick for 12 months and then I might repick them, but they're not long term as such. They've just been picked. But at the moment, names which are coming up on my list, which I'm somewhat attracted to, let's put it that way. If I was in if I was in a bar and these stocks, oops, crap, I've moved that around, I didn't mean to. And if those stocks were there, I'd be thinking, wow, they're attractive. Again, I don't want to give names up which would lead to a conflict of interest. So Marsh McLennan I don't own, but it's the world's largest insurance company and it's got good figures. I don't own it. That's not advice to you guys, but it's to give you an example. I look at valuation, revenue growth, dividend yields, cash return on capital invested, recent trend and momentum, Sortino, Alpha, PEG, and volatility. It's only got 11% volatility in this market where there's an emphasis on value. And there could be some sharp down moves. I want lower volatility and I want better valued companies. Okay. What do you think of Microsoft buying Activision? Activision Blizzard was on my list, I think, over a year ago. Then it fell off a cliff, and I never owned it, and so it fell off my list. And then of course it's up about 37% today. That makes Microsoft the third largest games company in the world. Well, it's clear which direction Microsoft want to go, and the games market's just booming, so it's good for Microsoft. I'm a Microsoft shareholder, so I'm glad they've done it. I think if they don't mess it up, and they could, because sometimes Microsoft get things wrong, but their games division's actually run by very good people, which is why boring Microsoft manages to be such a good player in the games market, surprisingly. So I think, what do I think about them? I think it's great that they've done it. Have they overpaid? I don't know. I've not heard, from everything that I've listened to today, I've not heard that they've overpaid. People haven't said, what the hell are they thinking? Thoughts on CFA? Still well respected. Very hard. I don't have one. My friends who've got one, I respect it. It stands up. It's respected. Okay, the CFA is respected. What's your yearly rate of return? If it's UK only stocks, then it's closer to just under 20%. If it's global stocks, which includes the US, then it's closer to 40% because the US does better. I mean, it's just easier to get that. Last year, because it was a good year, we had a tailwind. It was about 54%, but that was an exceptional year. So I'm going to show off. It's not the normal year. And contrary to what you might think, when you get a 54% year, you do not get shed loads of money the next year being thrown at you. If anything, people get worried that that was an outlier, you will revert to mean, and you're going to have a bad year the next year. So perversely, the worst thing that can happen to you is having a knockout year like that, because you're going to raise less money. I know this because it happened when we launched our hedge fund. We had a 43% year back in 2004-05, and we got next to no money coming in. And when we ask people, most people aren't honest. They don't want to tell you, why they're not giving you money. And a couple of people said, no, it's an outlier. You're going to have a bad year next year. We didn't. We had a mediocre year the next year, so in a way they were right. But you do revert to mean, don't you? Once you open a long-term position, when do you add to your position and when do you take and trim? So if I on my investments, I hold for 12 months. That's it. I'm not adding to it unless I've got new capital, in which case I treat that as a completely fresh thing, hold for 12 months. And 12 months is the period that I'm looking at. To keep it really simple, what's the entry point to invest in your fund? At the moment, we're not raising new money because on the private equity funds, we've exited. We sold a company called Need Creation to Zimmer, which was our last exit. It was this. People are getting bigger and fatter, particularly in India. So we took an American company, invested in it, took them to Apollo hospitals in India, big marketplace, and then exited the American company to Zimmer, which is the $1 billion Zimmer frame makers. So that's that. And the entry point was $1 million, but it's only institutions who can come in. And now I wouldn't take anything below 10 because it's not worth my time or my team's time or cost. Let me see, what else have we got? Going into quant roll out of uni. Good. What are your thoughts on quant investing versus fundamentals? If you can do it, great luck to you. The likes of AHL, Winton, they all do it. They do it well. Millennium does it. Enjoy it. Get a good pay package. Brevin Howard is another one. Aspect Capital. Just keep your options open and keep an eye out for other roles. I mean, don't get too stayed in one place. Sorry, there's a load of messages I won't have replied. I haven't done this for ages, so I'm going to have to put a timeline on this. Okay, 10 more minutes. Do you think the ECB are going to react late with hiking rates? It's a very good question. I'll have to put my... Oh, God. I've got another message from my wife. Just so you know the real world. Talking about ECB, my wife said her mum is washing all the dishes by hand, so my mother-in-law's at home, so, gotta stay here a bit longer. I'll put, oh no, but you know what I mean? The realities of life. Is it going to be late? In one sense, I want them to be late. I want a bit of inflation. I want asset prices to rise even nominally. Makes me happy because then my prices will rise. Do you think 6 to 7% inflation can be tamed with 2 to 3% rates? I've not thought about it hard on that. I don't think we're going to get 6 to 7% inflation, and I don't think it's going to be as negative as people think if we do, for this reason. Your household looks at 67%, let's say, inflation. What does that mean for you? You've got fixed costs and you've got variable costs, like any business. Your house, like my house, is going to have fixed costs and variable costs. Variable costs you can substitute away. Instead of buying bloody avocados, buy something else. You can control inflation on variable costs. Fixed costs, a little bit harder. A lot of people don't appreciate the difference. So 6 to 7% inflation doesn't necessarily impact you. That's the supply side prices. The demand side, all right, stop buying bloody avocados. So what are your fixed costs? Look at your fixed costs. Yes, energy is a fixed cost and a problem. And you might also be able to cut back on your variable costs so that the overall impact of your fixed costs going up isn't as great as the 6 to 7%. Okay, yeah, I know. It means you can't buy as many avocados. You don't understand. I'm going to be hit by 67% because I've got to eat my avocados. And it's just, life's going to be terrible. I'd say stop whinging about the price of avocados going up. So I don't think inflation is going to be as bad an impact on the economy as people seem to think. What I do think it's going to do is push up wages at long last, which will increase spending because people have the money illusion, which is they confuse real and nominal prices. Nominal prices will start rising and wages will start running. They'll think, oh, this is great. So I don't think we're going to go into 1970s. And I only look 12 months ahead in any of... I know avocados are nice, but stop eating them. You know, get something cheaper. What's a cheaper substitute for an avocado? I don't know. Or skip it altogether, mate. And then you won't be hit by 67% inflation. You'll be able to afford a house. What are your thoughts on tech stocks in the US taking big hits? I think a lot of that's profit taking. So I was talking to somebody earlier, okay? What happens is people think the price of a stock is related to two factors: what's happening in the company and what's happening in the broader economy, maybe the sector it's in and the global economy. Now, to some extent, they're right, except they're forgetting one very important thing. A portfolio, nobody buys a stock in isolation. They buy a portfolio, and they usually buy a portfolio of stocks which are unrelated to each other if they can. Okay, but sometimes there's some relations. Now, if you've got a portfolio where, for argument's sake, Adobe, it's been up 50%, and you've got some other stocks which have got nothing to do with Adobe or technology, they're in retail, and they're down. Human nature dictates you will sell the profitable company, book those profits, it looks great on your books, whether you're a fund manager or a private investor, and you let your losers run. So the profitable companies get hit, not because they've done anything wrong, not because their cash flow isn't there, not because their earnings. And you'll sit there and you'll go, why is Adobe getting hit? I can't see anything, Alpesh. The sector seems all right. Global economy is growing. There's demand for software, earnings. That's because you're looking at this. You're forgetting people also, if they own Adobe, own non-software companies, crappy little companies, which might be in retail, who've been shafted, and they'll hold on to the loss-making ones and get rid of Adobe. So that gives you a buying opportunity, of course, buy the dips and all the rest of it. And I think there's a lot of that going on. There isn't a problem with tech as such, even on a valuation basis. If I look at some of the tech companies, okay, I've got KLA 10 Core, right? That's got a price earnings growth below 1. Lam Research, I own, full disclosure, as well, tech company. Why did it get some sell-off? Why hasn't it boomed? Well, I think it's because of the other companies. So I think that's often forgotten about. Okay, guys, 5 more minutes. Thoughts on European bank stocks? Several other people have asked me this. Looking at the numbers, they look undervalued. And last year, European stocks were some of my best performers. European and UK turned out, in the end, they had a late strong finish, turned out to be the best performers. If you look on my YouTube channel, and the links are in my bio, you'll see more detailed videos on what the performance has been like and how things have been. Advice on getting into corporate finance. I've done a video on getting into corporate finance on my YouTube. On my YouTube channel, there's a section on careers advice that I give. So it's broken down by Alpesh's TV appearances, and then TV, and then that as well. How has Microsoft stock responded to Activision? Last I looked, it was down a tiny bit. There's noise, I won't worry about it. Warner Media Manager, no views. I've not had a look at it. In corporate FX, any interest in becoming a referral partner for your hedging contacts? I'm afraid not, my friend. No offense. It's just that I get so many requests, and we don't have the ability, the time to do all of that. So I apologize, sorry. And I wouldn't be a good partner for you anyway, because what would happen is our team wouldn't get around to sending it across, but I wish you well. I like the hustle. I like the fact that, because that's what business is. It's about asking, it's about just hitting those numbers. So respect to you for asking and the hustle. Hey, why didn't you become a commercial solicitor? Well, I was a barrister. I never wanted to be a solicitor because I wanted to be self-employed. Why didn't I become a commercial barrister? I got paid $6,000 in my first year, and I thought, screw it. In my 20s, I suddenly woke up and thought, I don't want to live like a student. I want to earn lots of money, and I was really enjoying investing. I'd be on the phone to Charles Schwab. I was trading options at that time, and in those days, you didn't have the internet. So it was mid-1990s, and you'd call up Schwab and say, right, what's the price on, March FTSE calls, 360 whatever it was, I can't remember. And they would tell me the price, and I'd look at it, I'd call them up again and bug them all day long. And then I just thought, you know what, I'd rather do that. So that's why I followed my passion. I always wanted to be self-employed. I followed what I truly enjoyed. And I think that's underestimated. But the trick is, find what you enjoy and which makes money. If you're lucky enough to get that and you've got the overlap between the two, you're laughing. I was talking to my cousin who's a partner at Deloitte. And he and I grew up together. And I said to him, I like doing X, Y, Z. And he goes, why? What's the point of it? And I said, no, I just like it. I just like doing it. He goes, shit, you find something you like for its own purpose? And goes, you're living the dream. So I enjoy the process. And when I wrote my first book, Mind of a Trader, which is over my shoulder, and I interviewed some of the world's leading traders, that came out. They enjoyed the process of trading. It wasn't, we can all make, sorry, my hairy hands. My grandmother used to call me all sorts of names. My hairy arms. Nobody needs to see that, do they? They've always been that hairy. It's not age. Tom.Smith, anytime, bro. Thoughts on Trinzio? I don't know who they are. Thoughts on using options? I used to, but then the spreads were too wide, so I moved to CFDs, which is what we did in our hedge funds. We just use CFDs. Hedge funds often use CFDs. Thoughts on Sophie in US? They have a bank charter pending. I've not looked into them. I'll try and look into them. Any advice on apprenticeships which are good for me to get into finance? Have a look at my campaign for $1million.com. There's a free apprenticeship there. Somebody just messaged me today. They got a job and they said it was thanks to you. So I'm really delighted. They did. It's a free work experience. You can do other work experience alongside mine, so you can earn money elsewhere. You can be anywhere in the world doing it. But I set it up for that reason, so it gives more people more access. My wife said, why do you do the TikToks? And I said, you know, Cliff Richard's about 80 years old. Or Tom Jones is about 8 years old. Or Elton John. Elton John, you know the song. He's just with Dua Lipa. And I said, and he's relevant. Why? Because he teamed up with Dua Lipa. He's across the generations. I said, that's the dream. Always be relevant. Nobody wants to be not. British avocados are overrated. I don't think there are British avocados, mate. I think there's only Mexican ones. What are your thoughts on tech stocks? Oh, no. Okay. Struggling in my finals at uni with econometrics. It is difficult. Is this a big aspect of asset management? No, it's not. It's not a big aspect at all. Unless you happen to go to a fund which is specifically looking for an econometric specialist, but it's not. So don't think, oh my God, I'm not going to make it. Most firms will teach you everything. They don't care what you learned at university, other than, shit, can you write a letter? Can you write a sentence? Do you know how to use Excel, Word, and PowerPoint? If you don't know those things, then we're going to get pissed off in the industry. Beyond that, we really don't care what you think you've learned. We're going to teach you what we think you need to know, which is what I put into my free internship, because it was training material for my staff, because they're not going to teach you what we teach you. I mean, they're not going to teach you at university, you know, how asset management works. Why would they? Other than just in broad generic terms. I gave a talk at London Business School last year. I was shocked at how basic the material was that they're teaching. I mean, really, oh my God. So we don't care what they really teach you at university, other than please know how to use Word. PowerPoint, well, if you can use PowerPoint properly and design nicely. Accenture, my wife worked at Accenture initially. Spent the first month teaching them how to do bloody PowerPoint design so everything's proper. Learn that stuff. If you can get some certificates on that, trust me, you've got an edge, because an employer is going to look at all your other degree stuff and they're going to say, all right, certified as PowerPoint expert, Excel expert. Shit, we could use this person off the ground straight away, as opposed to having to teach them those kind of things. And then everything else you can learn. Right, let's go here. Oh, God, so many. Are we close to a crash? I don't know. I think we're always close to a crash, aren't we? Feels like it. But the kind of stocks that I have are stocks which will... Somebody just asked about Etsy. The kind of stocks that I have are the kind of stocks which should be all right if we crash. They should. I'm just looking up Etsy, sorry. Here it is. Okay, Etsy. My kind of stocks are resilient. In other words, it's not that they won't drop. Everything drops in a crash. Everything's highly correlated to the downside in a crash. So much for diversification. But they shouldn't fall as far, and they should rise more anyway to the upside. Etsy, cash return, capital invested, 40. Excuse me. Sortino's high. I'll tell you why. The problem with Etsy, one is volatility. Yes, it's 20% down 20% in a month. Volatility is your main problem with Etsy. it had overshot itself. People pulled it back down. Fundamentally, there's still a lot going for it. Thoughts on Netflix? I'd need to have a look at it, I'm afraid. Private equity career path. So we've got we went into private equity. So I started off with the hedge fund and we launched private equity funds, and that's where bulk of our money went to. We launched private equity because that's where the money came. Aegon came to us and they said, we're looking for young, new private equity fund managers. We need India exposure, but we need small new funds because we haven't got tons of money, they said. We said, we can do that. And then we learned how to do it because that's where the money was. So in a way, we're just glorified plumbers, which looks like what I'm going to need soon. And then what happened is, I don't enjoy private equity. My partners do, I don't. But so as a career, if you enjoy it, do it. It pays well. Chance of a 20% correction this year. That's pretty high, I would have thought. Let me put it this way. There's about a 40% probability that, if you look at the statistics, a majority of the S&P 500 stocks can drop 20% within 12 months. So if they all do it at a similar time, then that's your correction right there. So I'd say it's pretty high with the S&P. PowerPoint, Alpesh, you're living in the dark ages if you think that is a differentiator. I must be living in the dark ages, but guess what? I'm the employer. So that's what we want you to be able to design and present on when we're pitching to people. We don't use paper. I'd be interested in what you think an employer should be using. Hey, I'm 19 years old, apprentice at JP Morgan. Any advice? What kind of advice? Learn public speaking, learn how to write well, learn how to speak well. Communications, I'd give that advice. Learn about leadership, look at Harvard Business Review and their leadership articles. So develop those personal skills, those soft skills, hard and soft skills around leadership and communication. That would be my advice there. Sectors of thoughts. This is moving too quickly. There's so many here. What car do you drive? Good question. I don't. The 3 cars that I have my name on legally. One I bought for my dad because he needed easier access for a wheelchair because he has dialysis. It's red and it's nice car that he's got. The other one was a soft top sports car which I gave to my aunt about a year ago, slightly over a year ago, because I promised her a sports car when I was younger. So I don't have that either. And the other one is one which, if you ask my son, whose car is this? He'll say, Mummy's. So as my father-in-law says, Albie, you should get a car. I've got a bike. I spent £100 on my bike. And you might say, why do you get one of those expensive carbon fibre ones? Because then I'd be worried about losing it. A car hit me recently. I don't like cars. I hate cars at the moment. Hit me when I was on my bike. And he said, I'll pay for the, you shouldn't have to pay for the damage. I said, honestly, don't worry about it. It was £100 bike. I mean, I didn't need to get a new one anyway, as it happens. So I don't like bikes. I once came from Leeds on the train, got to King's Cross, got a Lime bike, and cycled all the way home, which was about 2 hours. I had to go from Hammersmith to watch Leeds United play at Arsenal, and I cycled. It took about an hour, but I sat on a Lime bike, I should say, battery powered. I can't do that kind of heavy duty stuff. Should I tell you the best car I've ever driven? The one which made me feel amazing. Because when I stopped at traffic lights, I got applause. I kid you not. At a petrol pump, a guy said, do you want to swap? People just randomly talk to me. When I wanted to, I stopped outside the Dorchester to take my cousin for dessert. And the valet said, no, you don't have to pay. It's all right. I mean, privileges or what? And you felt 6 foot tall. It was a Ferrari California. But as I said, right now I have a £100 bike. That's me. I have a £100 bike. And it's good for the environment as a bike. Cars, you end up sitting in bloody traffic. But you should all go through that phase where you own a nice car and all the rest of it. It's one of life's things, isn't it? And then you get older and you think, oh, bugger it, I can't be arsed. Wheels and MOT and insurance and all the rest of it. What time do you wake up and go to sleep? So today I woke up at 6 and I went to sleep about midnight. Normally, in the last few days I've been working till about 2 because I wanted to. My wife says, right, you work so late. Stop working so late. You're going to die. And then who will fix my dishwasher? I've been working till 2:30 because I just saw a load of work I wanted to get done. And on those days, obviously, work up a bit later. Because in the mornings, I try and play with my son, and he only gets up about 8. So I try and play with him in the morning until about 10. But today was different because I had a gym session, and I just wanted to get up early and get a bit of work done. The alarm went, and I didn't feel tired, so I thought I'll just go and do that. Does anyone still value the CFA designation? I thought they did. Maybe I'm living in the dark ages. Can you do more YouTube videos on initial analysis, right numbers, and to me instead of just what you look at? Yeah, okay, I'll try and do that. I think I have done some of those. I'll bear that in mind. I'll try and do that. Ideal job if you want to sleep till 10 a.m. Anything involving a night shift, obviously. Duh. Your mother-in-law's waiting. She is. You're absolutely right. I better go, guys. Look, I've got to go. Even me, as in self-employed, I've still got to go. So sorry, I've got to go, guys. I'll see you in the future. Thank you all for being on. I really appreciate it. But yes, I better go. Sorry. I will come back soon. I will do another live soon. Clearly, it's popular. I'll try and do one tonight, even if I can.